Quick headlines before the intro. Today is June 2nd, and the AI story is not one model beating another model by one benchmark point. The story is agents getting real infrastructure. Microsoft Build opened with a developer platform message built around WorkIQ, agent governance, hosted sandboxes, Microsoft Discovery, and a new wave of Copilot experiences. GitHub followed with a stack of same-day Copilot updates, broader technical preview availability for the Copilot app, canvases for agent work, the Copilot SDK hitting general availability, cloud and local sandboxes moving into public preview, Gemini models coming to Copilot surfaces, and new billing controls already live from June 1st. OpenAI also quietly updated ChatGPT release notes yesterday with Codex computer use on Windows and remote control workflows. Then the White House signed a new AI security executive order that directs agencies toward AI-enabled cybersecurity tools and a process around advanced models. The short version, agents are leaving the demo stage and entering desktops, developer tools, government cybersecurity, and production workflows. Receipts up, hype down, let's lock in.
Powered by artificial intelligence.
The lead story is Microsoft Build. Microsoft's official Build post is not subtle. The company is trying to make agents a first-class platform layer. One of the clearest examples is WorkIQ. Microsoft says WorkIQ APIs will become generally available on June 16, giving agents programmatic access to the context layer that helps them work inside an organization. That is important because enterprise agents need more than a chat box. They need to know which files, meetings, people, permissions, and business context matter without breaking governance. Microsoft also points to hosted agents in Foundry Agent Service, now in preview, with instant-on sandboxes per session, isolated execution, persistent memory, and elastic scale. The analogy Microsoft uses is strong. Hosted agent sandboxes are being positioned like containers were for cloud-native apps. That comparison is useful. Containers gave developers a repeatable unit for deploying services. Agent sandboxes could become the repeatable unit for deploying digital workers. Each session needs a boundary. It needs tools. It needs memory. It needs access controls. It needs a place to execute code, browse, read files, and complete tasks without becoming a security nightmare. That is why Build matters today. Microsoft is not only showing new AI features. It is building the infrastructure shape around agents, context, identity, sandboxing, governance, developer tools, and cloud scale. If this works, the question moves from "can an AI answer this?" to "can an AI safely operate inside the workflow where the answer becomes action?" That is the platform shift. Story 2 is the GitHub Copilot app. GitHub says the technical preview is now available to all existing Copilot Pro, Pro Plus, Business, and Enterprise customers, with free users and non-Copilot users able to join a waitlist. The big product idea is that Copilot is becoming a desktop home for agent-native software development. You can start from an issue, pull request, prompt, previous session, or local folder. You can run parallel agent sessions, each separated by its own worktree and branch. You can review the plan in diff, validate behavior in an integrated terminal and browser, open a pull request, and let agent merge address review comments or failing checks under your conditions. The new feature GitHub is emphasizing is canvases. A canvas is a structured interactive surface where the agent's work becomes visible: a plan, pull request, terminal, browser session, release checklist, migration board, or workflow state. The point is that agent progress should not be buried in a transcript. Users need to inspect state, steer direction, edit the surface, approve steps, and verify progress. The agent reads that same canvas and updates it as it works. That is a big interface clue. We are moving from chat UX to agent experience. Chat remains the place for instruction and ambiguity. Canvases become the place where work lands. For developers, that means the next competition is not only which model writes better code. It is which environment lets humans supervise agent work without drowning in logs, diffs, and repeated course correction. Story 3 is more developer-facing but maybe even more important. GitHub says the Copilot SDK is now generally available. That means developers can embed GitHub Copilot's agentic engine into applications, services, and developer tools with a stable API and production-ready support. The SDK gives programmatic access to the same agent runtime behind Copilot: planning, tool invocation, file edits, streaming, and multi-turn sessions. It is available in Node and TypeScript, Python, Go, .NET, Rust, and Java, with Rust and Java called out as new at general availability. The capabilities list tells you exactly where GitHub thinks agent platforms are going. Custom tools and MCP support let developers register tools that the agent can invoke autonomously. Fine-grained system prompt customization lets teams shape identity, tone, tool instructions, and safety rules without rewriting the whole prompt from scratch. OpenTelemetry tracing gives production teams a way to understand what happened across JSON RPC calls, session operations, and tool execution. Authentication supports GitHub OAuth, GitHub Apps, environment tokens, and bring your own key providers including OpenAI, Microsoft Foundry, Anthropic, and others. That is the real enterprise story. A model is only one part. The SDK gives teams a way to make agent behavior observable, tool-aware, authenticated, and embedded into their own products. This is how Copilot moves from a product into a platform. Story 4 is the runtime layer. GitHub's June 2 changelog includes cloud and local sandboxes for Copilot in public preview, plus Gemini models in Copilot CLI, Cloud Agent, and the Copilot app. Those two updates belong together. Sandboxes answer the question, where does the agent safely run? Model choice answers the question, what brain should the agent use for this particular job? Once agents start editing files, running commands, opening browsers, and touching infrastructure, the runtime cannot be an afterthought. You need isolated environments, permission boundaries, predictable tools, and a way to decide whether work runs locally, in the cloud, or against a repo-backed session. The Gemini update points to another important shift: agent platforms are becoming multi-model. GitHub is not only saying use R1 Assistant. It is making Copilot surfaces support additional models depending on the context and plan. That matters because coding agents are not a single workload. Some tasks need cheap speed. Some need deep reasoning. Some need long context. Some need a model that is stronger at UI code, tests, security review, or repository scale refactors. The future agent stack will likely route across models, tools, and sandboxes based on task shape. For developers, this is both exciting and messy. More choice means more power, but also more cost management, more policy work, and more evaluation. The teams that win will not simply turn every model on. They will decide which model gets which job, in which sandbox, under which budget. Story 5 is the part users will actually feel: billing. GitHub says usage-based billing for Copilot is now live for all users, and that Copilot code review consumes GitHub Actions minutes in addition to GitHub AI credits. It also launched user-level budget controls for organizations and enterprises, so admins can set universal budgets or override budgets for specific users. Copilot Max is available as an upgrade for existing Student, Pro, and Pro Plus subscribers, and new signups remain paused for several individual plans while GitHub reopens access later. This is not just a pricing footnote. It is part of the agent story. Agents do more work per request than classic autocomplete. They plan, call tools, edit files, run checks, retry, and sometimes keep working across sessions. That means the cost model has to follow usage more closely. But it also means developers need better visibility. If one agent session can burn through credits because it explores a big repo, runs repeated reviews, or uses expensive models, users need budgets, caps, and clear receipts. The bigger lesson is that AI coding tools are moving from flat fee helpers toward metered development infrastructure. For teams, that changes behavior. You start asking whether an agent task is worth the credits, whether code review should run on every pull request, and whether a cheaper model is good enough. Agent productivity and agent cost are now tied together. Story 6 is OpenAI's Codex update from yesterday, which fits directly with today's developer agent theme. OpenAI's ChatGPT release notes say Codex now supports computer use on Windows in the Codex app. Eligible users can ask Codex to see, click, and type in Windows applications while they test, debug, and refine what they are building. The same note says users can start work on a Windows machine and use ChatGPT on iOS or Android, or Codex on Mac, to check progress, continue the thread, respond to prompts, and steer work while away from the desk. The Windows machine remains the host for project files, shell, app server, and local context. This is one of those updates that looks small until you think about what it unlocks. A coding agent that can only edit text is useful. A coding agent that can also inspect an app, click through a workflow, read UI state, run local commands, and keep going while you are away is much closer to an actual development assistant. It also creates new responsibility. Computer use needs boundaries. It needs clear permission prompts, safe handling of credentials, and a way for users to understand what happened. OpenAI notes that the release includes responsiveness and browser stability improvements, plus Codex profiles for eligible users. The key takeaway is that developer agents are converging. GitHub is building agent-native app and SDK surfaces, Microsoft is building sandbox and WorkIQ infrastructure, and OpenAI is pushing Codex deeper into the actual desktop. Story 7 is policy. The White House published a June 2 executive order titled Promoting Advanced Artificial Intelligence Innovation and Security, plus a fact sheet framing the order around cybersecurity, critical infrastructure, and AI leadership. The order directs relevant parts of government to prioritize cyber defense of national security systems, Department of War information systems, and civilian federal information systems. The fact sheet says the Secretary of Homeland Security, working with other officials, should issue guidance to facilitate access to AI-enabled cybersecurity tools and services for federal agencies, state and local authorities, and operators of critical infrastructure, including rural hospitals, community banks, and local utilities. The part that intersects with today's agent story is enforcement and model access. The order tells the Attorney General to prioritize enforcement of federal criminal laws against people who use AI to illegally access or damage computers, including employing AI agents to unlawfully access data. The broader policy signal is clear: governments are treating advanced AI as both a defensive tool and a security risk. This is the same pattern we see in developer tools. The more capable agents become, the more important governance becomes. In companies, that means sandboxes, budgets, identity, tool permissions, and audit logs. In government, it means national security systems, critical infrastructure, model evaluation, and cyber enforcement. The technology is moving fast enough that policy is being forced to respond in real time. So what do all these stories mean together? The agent stack is being standardized. The visible product still looks like chat, but the real product is the operating layer around agents. Microsoft is pushing context and hosted agent infrastructure. GitHub is building the desktop app, canvases, SDK, sandboxes, model choice, and billing controls. OpenAI is bringing Codex into the Windows desktop with computer use and remote steering. The White House is pulling AI into cybersecurity and critical infrastructure policy. These are different organizations, but the direction is the same: agents need a real runtime. That runtime has parts. Context tells the agent what matters. Model routing chooses the right brain. Sandboxes decide where actions happen. Tools define what the agent can do. Budgets decide how much work is worth doing. Observability tells you what happened. Policy decides what is allowed. And interfaces like canvases make the work visible enough for humans to supervise. This is why the agent hype can be misleading. The magic is not a single prompt. The magic is a system that lets a model operate safely inside a workflow. For developers and companies, the next skill is evaluating agent workflows like production systems. Ask, what data did it access? What tools did it use? What did it cost? What did it change? What evidence proves the task is complete? If you cannot answer those questions, you do not have an agent system. You have an expensive autocomplete with confidence. Final takeaway. June 2nd was an agent infrastructure day. Microsoft Build gave us the big platform frame, WorkIQ, hosted agents, Foundry Agent Service, Microsoft Discovery, and the idea that sandboxes could become the container primitive for agents. GitHub delivered the developer layer, a broader Copilot app preview, canvases, the Copilot SDK at general availability, cloud and local sandboxes, Gemini model support, and new billing controls. OpenAI added the desktop layer with Codex computer use on Windows and remote steering. The White House added the policy layer with a new AI security executive order focused on cybersecurity, critical infrastructure, and criminal misuse. The winner in this next phase will not simply be the company with the loudest model launch. It will be the platform that makes agents useful, inspectable, governed, and affordable. That means clean interfaces, visible workstate, strong permission boundaries, practical model routing, clear billing, and real source evidence. Tomorrow's AI news should be judged by the stack, not the slogan. If the product can act, ask where it acts. If it can use tools, ask who approved them. If it can run for hours, ask what it costs. If it says it finished, ask what evidence proves completion. That is the UGTP lens: full receipts, zero fluff, and no pretending the future is simple just because the demo was smooth. Subscribe for more daily AI intelligence, and check the description for every primary source used in this episode.